Hey guys, brakes are easy to look at but often overlooked and neglected. So today I'd like to talk about guide pins. Recently I was just working on the Civic and we just purchased the car this year and one of the guide pins was seized. So 3 out of 4 because the front car only has front disc brakes. You know, we're doing the brake job and we're getting through like, oh, this isn't too bad. And then the last guide pin just would not come out. So I figure, you know what? I was just thinking to myself, I don't check these that often. I'm going to make it a point and I'm going to recommend that we check them every year because we live in a little bit of a more harsh climate. We do have winters here where we live and I do switch over to winter tires on our daily. So I figure, why not check the guide pins and grease them every time we change out the winter tires? Because usually what we do is we just look through the inspection report here. Okay, there's some pad life, maybe brush it off a little bit and then put the winter tires back on. But if we're going to do it on a nice day before it gets bad out, why don't we take out the guide pins, inspect them, and grease them up every single time we do that. Depending on how you service the guide pins might differ depending on your caliper design. So we're just using my truck here as an example. So you can see I have removed the guide pin out of here. So where the pistons are located, you'll have these bolts and they can actually move in and out. Over here we have a bracket. So this is the caliper bracket. We're not going to touch those. So we just take those out. I take them out one at a time. That way we can flip the caliper out and it makes it a lot easier to check our pads. So we can actually take the pads out, give them a quick sand. You can see that there's no more grease over here. So we can put some grease back on and that way we have quiet operation. When cleaning off your brakes, you want to use a wire brush to get off any kind of debris. Also, before and during and after, use actual brake clean. And we want to make sure that the rotor and the inside of the pad, the part of the pad that actually touches the rotor, is clean. Especially because we're working with grease. We don't want any of that grease from our hands to get on the pad. So as I'm handling the pads, wear gloves guys. As I'm handling the pads, I'm not touching the mating surface that touches the rotor because I don't want any of that material in there because it's going to affect my braking seriously if I get any of the grease on it. I've heard mixed things with grease people use, talking to other mechanics, but what I like to get is this Permatex stuff and it's specifically for brake lubricant. So the reason why they label brake lubricants is silicone formula. It will work within the operating temperatures. What I'm worried about are these boots. And if these boots get damaged from it getting eaten away, you get dirt in there and then you're going to damage the guide pins because these guide pins can last a really long time if you take care of them. While I have everything apart, I might as well just quickly sand these pads off, do a quick inspection, see if there's any debris in there, see if there's any major cracking, see how far away I am from my squealer. So I'm probably going to run these pads in rotor for the winter and then a little bit into spring, and then for summer we're going to get some new slotted rotors and some new pads. But I think it's a good idea just to see how far off you are. Can you last the season? Is there anything amiss? If there isn't, you're good to go. If looks like you're low on pad life, or there's a little bit more scoring in the rotor than you thought, it might be time to save up some money and change some brakes. Okay, let's take this top guide pin out so you guys can see it better. So there'll be a bolt and the guide pin is threaded. So we loosen that guy out. Should look nice and clean. Go ahead and pull this out just enough. We do have a brake line here we have to tend to, so then we can slide the guide pin out. Okay, so we put some grease on the tip where it enters and we're going to make this a very thin film and go over the whole pin. What we have to do now is reinstall it. So when you're putting the guide pins back in, it should feel very smooth. It should move freely. Sometimes you might get some suction going on. There might be lots of some grease left over in there, but it should be able to move around quite easily. If it feels gritty, you might have to go in there and clean it out a bit. So you want to make sure it just feels smooth operation, and then you want to make sure that that boot comes all the way over here to help protect it. make sure when you're putting them back on, you torque them down to specifications. From here, I'm using my torque wrench because they are specific, and this particular vehicle needs 74 pound-feet of torque to put these guide pins back in. All right, guys, our wheel's back on. We have torque to specification. You also want to make sure that you torque on your lug nuts on properly, because you want to have whatever factory specifies, and you want even pressure. That way we get even pressure across the whole rotor. If you over tighten and it's uneven, you could prematurely wear out your rotors. So what do you guys think? This is something really easy. It forces you to do several things at the same time. Not only are we checking the guide pins, we're doing an inspection, we're checking for leaks, we're checking the pads out, we're checking out the rotors. Just by pulling out those 2 guide pins and lubricating them, it forces you to oversee the rest of the braking system. And I think that's a good practice to do every year. What do you guys think? Comment below. I'd like to know. If you like today's content, make sure to check out my channel and hit the subscribe button, and make sure to hit that bell notification. What that does is it makes sure that you're always kept up to date with all the content that we're providing with you guys on YouTube. So the way that we have the channel set up is I have the uploads up top. That way at all times you can always see, if you just hop by the channel, what our latest upload is. Plus with the bell notification, you're going to get some sort of message from YouTube itself. We also have popular uploads, car videos, how-to videos, demonstration and informational videos, and a lot of cool other specific car videos like our builds playlist. I really like the builds playlist because it takes all the theories from our how-to section and it keeps applying it to different vehicles. Yeah.